example 4. For example 4, we are given 36, 12, 4, 4 thirds. Okay? So, in example 3, we had the ratio to use the formula. So, let us check if still we have here ratio. So, I forgot to mention in the earlier example, now to find the ratio, or your R, is to just divide the present term over its previous or past or appropriately previous term. So in this case, since the 36, it has no previous term, so we'll proceed to 12. So 12, that's our present term. So 12 divided by 36, so that is 1/3. Similarly, okay, 4 divided by 12, diba? Present over the previous term. So still that is 1/3. And then we have here 4/3 divided by, okay, let's write it in the center. Divided by 4, so 4/3 divided by 4 is still 1/3. So since we have the constant ratio, that means this formula, a sub n equals a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1 is applicable. Again, just to emphasize, to find the ratio or to know if there is a ratio, just get, okay, the ratio or the quotient of the present term over the previous term. Okay? Kasi, baka malito kayo, madam, ano yung i-consider? I-multiply, yung minumultiply po or dinidivide. Okay? So, to clarify that one, it's present over previous na lang. So, we have common answers in checking. So, I hope it's clear, the ratio. To get the ratio, it's present term over previous term. So, dapat consistently, all throughout the terms, you have the same ratio. Hindi pwedeng sa first two sets lang 1/3, pagdating dito, iba na. So, that means hindi ito applicable. So, since all throughout, 1/3 siya, pwede natin itong gamitin. Now, based on our example, a sub 1 is 36, okay, times r. What is our r? Again, it's 1/3. Okay, nilagay ko lang siya sa parenthesis para hindi makakalito po yung pag-exponent. And then n, still it's n kasi infinity yan, class, n minus 1. So, hindi na natin yan masisimplify. So, that is now our general term. As easy as pie. Diba? So, to check, let us check on how to check if it really works. It really works for that sequence. So, let's find a sub 1. So, n is 1. So, 36 times 1/3 times 1 minus 1. Okay. So, that is 36. 1 minus 1 is 0. Any number raised to 0 except 0. So, that is 1. So, 36. So, that's correct. Next. A sub 2 is, n is 2. So, 36 times 1/3. So, 2 minus 1. So, 36 times 2 minus 1 is 1. So, 1/3 raised to 1 is 1/3. So, that is 12. 36 times 1/3 is 12. Next, a sub 3. So, 36 times 1/3. Okay, raised to 3 minus 1 kasi n is 3 nga. So, 36 times 1/3 squared. So, that is 36 times 1/9 or just 4. Okay? Madam, do we need to show the details? Pwede naman, class. But I'm not requiring you to show all the details since you have your calculators naman. You're allowed to use your calculators. So, it's okay if dito lang and then final answer. But I just really hope you understand, okay, how it became that number. Okay, let's have a sub 4. Wala na tayong space. So, I'll just erase this. So, a sub 4. So, in a sub 4, our n is 4. Okay? So, a sub 4 equals 36 times 1/3 raised to 4 minus 1. So, 36 times 1/3. So, that is cube na. Okay? 4 minus 1 is 3 or just 36 times 1 over 27 or just 4/3. So, observe we have same first 4 terms. Okay? So, that means our formula is applicable for that sequence. So, final answer. Okay, so the general term is a sub n equals 36 times 1/3 raised to n minus 1. Okay. So, let's have example number 5. Now, in this case, the given is 2/3, 3/4, 4/5, 5/6, and so on. Okay? Now, based on our previous examples, we were able to generate two fractions, two formulas rather. Now, the first one is, it is a formula which is applicable kapag we have a constant difference. Okay? While the second formula, it is applicable when we have constant ratio. So, let us check if it is applicable to this pattern. So, let's, using your calculator, para mas mabilis tayo. So, 3/4, you just subtract, minus, let's try to find kung may constant difference siya. Okay? So, 3/4 minus 2/3. So, that is 1 over 12. Okay? So, D is 1 over 12. And then, 4/5 minus 3/4. 1 over 20. So, magkaiba na agad class yung difference. So, hindi applicable yung first formula natin. Next, let's try to check the ratio. So, again, ratio is second term. Okay. Second term divided by the first term. So, that is 9 over 8. Next naman, third term. Okay, so to find the next ratio, third term divided by the second term. So, we get 16 over 15. So, hindi siya applicable. So, yung special type natin na sequence ay hindi nag-fall yung sequence na ito. So, the question is how we can find its pattern. Let's try to see the given fraction. Wala tayong same number na ina-add or sinusubtract, nor same number na minumultiply or dinidivide. But observe, di ba? The numerators is increasing by 1. The denominators also is increasing by 1. And the denominators are greater than 1, okay, compared to its numerator. Diba, kung hulaan natin, what would be the next term here? So, that would be 6 over 7, di ba? 7 over 8, 8 over 9, and so on. Now, paano natin to gagawa ng formula? Now, take note, for this, a sub 1, n equals 1. Dito naman, for a sub 2, n is 2. For a sub 3, n is 3. For a sub 4, n is 4. Now, one technique class, okay, is utilize the n. Para ma-check nyo, diba? Observe sa mga dating examples natin, laging may n. So, isa to sa paraan para makapag-generate tayo ng formula, gagamitin natin yung concept ni n to come up, okay, to a formula na applicable dito. Now, if n dito, n is 1, so paano siya magiging 2? So, ibig sabihin, I added 1 kay n niya, di ba? And then naman, dito naman, in relation to n, para maging 3, I will add 2. Okay? So, what we are doing is we are observing the fraction using the n. Next naman, in relation dito, second term, n is 2. Okay? Now, kapag n is 2, paano siya magiging 3? Diba? So, we will add 1. And similarly naman, dito sa denominator, n is 2, we will be adding 2 para maging 4. Okay? So, this one denotes n, O, dito naman, kung n is 3, ano kaya yung magagawa ko kay n para maging 4? So, from 3 magiging 4, that means we added 1. And then, sa baba naman, we added 2. Okay? And then, dito, from 5 over 6, so n here is 4. So, to make it 5, I will be adding 1. To make it 6, I'll be adding 2 to n. Okay? So, may pattern na tayong nakikita. So, that is, to generalize this, 1, 2, 3, 4 represents n. Tama? N. And then, we consistently add 1 to the numerator. And then, sa denominator naman, 1, 2, 3, 4 represents also n. And we consistently add 2. Okay? So, that means, we can make the general term, okay? We can write the general term in this way. A sub n equals n plus 1 over n plus 2. Okay? Check natin kung applicable ba to dito sa hula natin. So, dito, this is a sub 5. So, 5 plus 1 is 6. 5 plus 2 is 7. Tama. A sub 6 natin. So, n is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay? Ito naman, this is our a sub 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 7 plus 2 is 9. So, tama yung formula natin. Okay? So, ano yung lesson, madam, dito? Ano yung technique dito? Now, when it comes to fraction, or even not in fractions, one way to formulate your formula is to use your n. Okay? Use, in making observations, use your n. So, you start a sub 1. Try to rewrite the given term using n. So, dito, di ba? Sa fraction natin, n is 1. So, I try to rewrite 2/3 in terms of its n. So, 1 yung n niya. So, paano ko siya gagawing 2/3? I have to add 1 sa 2. Sa numerator, I have to add 2 sa denominator. Okay? And apply it to the succeeding terms. Now, kapag nag-work siya, so you're on the right track. Pero kung hindi, ibig sabihin, you have to rewrite it to another form. Okay? And again, that would depend on the fraction. But commonly, we use n, okay, in rewriting each term. And honestly speaking, okay, there's no method that would generalize any sequence except dun sa pinakita ko kanina. Okay? So, actually, we are doing trial and error method, but with logic. Diba? With logic. So, madam, paano namin yan maiisip na in that way? So, of course, kailangan mo mag-isip by maximizing your n. Yan lang yung maibibigay kong tips. Maximize n. Write it in terms of n. Now, if ever, if you get another formula aside here, just check if it will generate the succeeding terms. Okay? So, again, it's possible that for a sequence, you can have more than one formula that works for it. Just verify if it really works for that. Now, to conclude, the nth term is a sub n equals n plus 1 over n plus 2. Okay? So, wala nang verification kasi we were able to check na while we generate the formula. So, that ends example 5. Let's have example number 6. Given negative 6, negative 3, negative 2, negative 3 halves, negative 6 fifths, and so on, find the general term in that sequence. Let's check if this type of sequence is applicable to our two special types earlier. So let's try to find first the common difference, if it really has common difference. So, negative 3 minus negative 6, so that is positive 3. Negative 2 minus negative 3, so that is 1. So, magkaiba yung common difference, so hindi siya pwede. Next, ratio naman. Let's check if it has a ratio or common ratio. So, to get the common ratio, just divide the second term by the first term, the third term by the second term, the fourth term by the third term, and so on. So, negative 3 divided by negative 6, so that is positive 1/2. Negative 2 divided by negative 3, so that is positive 2/3. So, magkaiba yung ratio natin, so that means hindi sila or hindi ito applicable dun sa special type of sequence natin. So, ano yung next method natin dito? So, next method is to utilize your n. Okay? Now, for this number, our n is 1 kasi first term. Ito naman second term, n is 2. Third term is 3 ang n. Fourth term, 4. And then, the fifth term is 5. And again, madam, what do you mean by utilize n? Isusulat natin yung bawat term gamit yung mga n nila, respectively. So, in this case, how can we write negative 6 in terms of 1? Okay, so madaming paraan to, class. So, I'll show you some ways. Now, let's have, for example, negative 6. We can write negative 6 as, di ba dapat, pwedeng in terms of addition. Okay, so in terms of addition, ano yung i-add natin kay 1 para maging negative 6? So, that is negative 7. Okay? Next naman, another pattern, pwedeng multiplication. Ano yung multiply ko kay 1 para maging negative 6? So, that is negative 6. Okay? Or, kung division naman, ano yung i-divide ko kay 1 para maging negative 6. So, that is negative 6. Diba? So, again, yung ginagawa natin, ginagamit natin yung n to rewrite, okay, our term. Now, madam, bakit walang subtraction? Subtraction, class, somehow, sige, add tuloy natin. Subtraction, di na lang si subtraction. So, ano yung isusubtract ko kay 1 para maging negative 6? So, that is negative 5. Okay? So, negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. So, usually, ganyan yung pattern natin. Now, actually, madami class paraan. Pwedeng lagyan mo pa siya ng exponent. Kung feeling mo, nag-square tayo. Okay? But it seems na parang wala naman tayong ini-square dito. Diba? Next, let's have 2. How can we write negative 3 in terms of 2? Applying it here. So, kung dito naman, magpa-plus 2 tayo. So, nang i-add ko kay 2 para maging negative 3. So, that is negative 5. Okay? Next, anong i-multiply ko kay 2 para maging negative 3? So, that is negative 3 halves. Okay? Next, ano yung i-divide ko kay 2 para maging negative 3? So, that is negative 6. Diba? Isip lang tayo ng number. Yun yung paraan natin. Okay? Or, ano isusubtract ko kay 2 para maging negative 3? So, that is negative 1. So far, wala pa tayong consistent na pattern. Ito pa lang, kasi negative 6 pareho. And then, corresponding yung denominator. Let's try for n equals 3. How can we rewrite negative 2 in terms of 3? So, kung addition naman, ang i-add ko kay 3 is, para maging negative 2 ay negative 5. Diba? Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. Next, ano i-multiply ko kay 3 para maging negative 2? So, that is negative 2/3. Diba? Negative 2/3 times 3 is negative 2. Okay? Negative 2/3 yan, class. Tumikit na yung negative. Okay. And then, dito naman, anong i-divide ko? Ano yung numerator ko? Nakapag-divide ng 3 ay negative 2. So, that is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. And then, ano ba yung isusubtract ko kay negative 3 para maging negative 2? So, that is 1. 1 minus 3 is negative 2, diba? Next, let's have 4 naman. Tingnan natin kung saan ba yung may pattern among these 4 patterns. So, kung 4, ano i-add ko kay 4 para maging negative 3/2? So, subtract lang natin. Ano i-add ko kay 4 para maging 3/2? So, that is 11/2. Negative 11/2. Excuse me. Oh my God. God bless me. So, negative 11/2 plus 4 is negative 3/2. Next, ano yung multiply ko kay 4 para maging negative 3/2? So, that is negative. Again, ano yung multiply ko kay 3/2 para maging, multiply ko kay 4 para maging 3/2. So, that is negative 3/8. Diba? Negative 3/8. Negative 3/8 times 4 is negative 3/2. And then, dito naman, anong i-divide ko? Anong ilalagay ko sa numerator para pag divide by 4, negative 3/2. So, try natin kung negative 6. Is negative 6/4 equals to negative 3/2? Yes, di ba? Ang lowest term nito ay negative 3/2. And dito naman, ay susubtract ko kay 4 para maging negative 3/2. So, that is 5/2. So, 5/2 minus 4 is negative 3/2. Okay? So far, dito wala tayong pattern. Dito din, wala. Hirap gawa ng pattern. Same din dito. So, mukhang ito yung potential formula natin, class. Okay? Check natin dito. Apply na natin yan dito. So, dapat dito, negative 6/5. So, tama. Ang nakuha natin is negative 6/5. So, if you're going to generalize this, generalize natin to. So, this is just, since consistently siya negative 6, so negative 6 in numerator. Yung n, di ba these are n, di ba? First term 1, second term 2, third term 3, fourth term 4, fifth term 5. So, this is just n. Okay? So, based on our observation, to generalize this is just negative 6/n. So, that is our general formula. Now, madam, do we still need to check? Actually, hindi na class kasi nga working backwards tayo, diba? Ito na yung pang-check natin. So, tama naman. So, ibig sabihin yung susunod dito ay negative 6/6 or just 1. Okay? So, ito yung general term for that sequence. So, the nth term is a sub n equals negative 6/n. Okay? So, that ends example number 6. Again, to remind you kapag hindi siya applicable dun sa dalawang special type natin. Kung hindi tayo makagawang, kung hindi siya fraction, di ba, walang pattern, we just maximize our n and we write it to different forms. Madam, masyado atang mahaba yung pag-iisip. Yes, class, that's the challenge of this objective. Diba? You really have to think. Kaya mapapractice dito yung critical and logical skills ninyo. Okay? To think to different perspective. Diba? So, just like in life, we badly need to have that kind of thinking na we're not only looking at on one perspective, we consider all other aspects, diba? So, parang ganyan lang yan, class. Okay? So, that ends for example number 6.